Alright, welcome back for another replay cast. I recorded this live, but the lag was pretty horrible, so I figured it'd be better for viewers to see this as a replay. So we're playing as Nurgle on Arnheim. We got Kugath as our lord, a front line of Chaos Warriors, Plague Bears, and then a couple Nurglings over in Vanguard here in the woods. Our opponent is playing as the Empire. They've got Markus Wulfhart as their lord over here. See, they got a Hellstorm Rocket Battery, Amber Wizard, so he's got Lore of Beasts, Flock of Doom, Impenetrable Pelt, Wild Form, and Amber Spear. Pistoliers, Silver Bullets, a couple Spearmen with Shields, a Warrior Priest, and Outriders with Grenade Launchers, and Huntsmen. So, got a pretty diverse roster. So I'm going to speed this up on the approach, and then we will get into things. My idea starting off was I was bringing Kugath as my lord because I could basically use him as an artillery piece and sit him up here and launch down in the open field. I brought a pretty heavy infantry opening so that I could take point 3 and then try to fight downhill. So you can see we got Furies coming on to respond to the Pistoliers and Grenade Launchers. One thing that I'm looking to do when I'm bringing on units out of the reinforcements, especially when I'm trying to dive backlines and get on top of shooting units, is not send them one at a time. I feel like I have a bad tendency to do that at times, and they end up just getting shot down by supporting units as they're pursuing. So one squad chasing the Pistoliers all the way across the map, other squad jumped on top of the Sterling's Revenge, and they're going to get dealt with decently quickly because of the Outriders with Grenade Launchers kind of lobbing shots over onto the backside of them, but they did push them away, and I was trying to really get them away from me so that my infantry had some breathing room. I did not want Grenade Launchers shooting at Chaos Warriors because that is a very good trade for my opponent. I also noticed the Hellstorm Rocket Battery as soon as I was getting close here, and realized that he was going to have a good angle to shoot up at my squad, so I figured I needed to do something about that. So right now, basically what I'm focused on is bringing fast units to try to get on top of the shooting, the artillery and whatnot, and grab this point and then just start pressuring. Because if he has value in shooting and in ranged units, he is going to have a weaker front line. So again, a lot of standard infantry, Spearmen with shields. That is 4 squads of them. So 3 of them over here on point 2 with the Warrior Priest. This guy's going to have the magic damage and fire damage, so he'll do good against units like Plague Bears and whatnot because they have physical resist, and his magical attacks will negate that. Nurglings pressuring the front line. These guys are going to do decently against Sterling's Revenge because they don't need armor piercing against a unit like this, which means their damage values are going to be a little more effective against a unit like Sterling's Revenge than they would be against like a great sword type unit, and I believe they have splash as well. And then you can see the Chaos Warhounds are starting to get a surround on the Outriders with grenade launchers. So he's going to bring a response to that in the form of Empire Knights, but luckily I was able to dive on top of these guys amidst that, and now the Chaos Warriors and Plague Bears are starting to come downhill. A little bit of missed micro sent of these Chaos Warriors after the Pistoliers. I probably should have just run them into these guys so that maybe some spare shooting from my opponent would be hitting his own troops. But the melee is beginning. You see he dropped a net on these guys, I guess just to slow them down and keep them out of the melee for a little bit. And dogs coming around the flank. He's got points 1 and 2, I got point 3. And I probably should have been sending more infantry downhill quicker, but I'm starting to realize that Kugath is using up a good bit of his ammunition. I've mostly had him shooting at Pistoliers, Outriders with grenade launchers, and troops like that. And you can still see my reinforcements are basically all dogs and Furies. So Chaos Warhounds, Chaos Furies, more of them coming in. You can see I brought them in 3 at a time there. These guys are unfortunately getting mowed down by the silver bullets, but they did soak up shots that would have been going against my other units. So dogs on the retreat, Furies getting ready to dive. Looks like they are going after the Huntsmen maybe. And another squad coming over here to get on top of the silver bullets. Over on this side, you can see the Nurglings are still fighting against the Free Company Militia, Sterling's Revenge. They're going to take them out. These guys are immune to psychology. I'm not sure what their base leadership is. Base is 65, so that's decent, but they're holding pretty strong against the Nurglings. I guess they're not taking the debuff from fear because they have immune to psychology. This squad of Warhounds was able to chase the Outriders out, even though the others got mowed down by the Empire Knights. Fury's getting dealt with. Fury's over here, luckily able to do a lot of damage to the Silver Bolts. These guys have pretty good damage output. 36 melee attack with poison damage is pretty decent. Other squad of Poison Hounds is now trying to pressure Markus Wulfhart. Front line is definitely going our way. Plague Bears and Chaos Warriors are both going to trade very well into Spearmen. We're not going to take too much damage because of the physical resist on Plague Bears, because of the armor on the Chaos Warriors. And Spearmen only have 30 armor, so both of these guys are going to be able to deal pretty good damage against them. So we're trying to get capture rate on a 0.2. You can see we're pretty far behind in victory points right now. So one squad of Chaos Warriors is going to sit on 0.3. That's going to be the holding force. And everybody else is starting to go downhill and try to pressure 0.2. He's abandoned 0.1. But right now, I want to just make sure I have a good focused force, and I don't want to spread myself out too much because I don't feel like Nurgle does a good job of that. So we're taking the lead in the gold value. Both factions have about the same amount of supplies to use. More dogs, more Furies coming on, and at this point in the match, that was really all I was focusing on because most of his reinforcements were more damage dealing units. And that meant that the spear line getting taken care of was going to leave the rest of his troops vulnerable. He did bring on the Empire Knights. I guess this is a remnant of the fight from earlier. So those guys are fighting against my Furies that got on top of the Hellstorm rocket battery. Another squad of Furies jumping to Pistoliers, pushing them back. Dogs diving into the Huntsmen. Huntsmen definitely do not want to be in a situation like that. These guys are pretty beat up, but I did get some chase on the Pistoliers. You can see them fleeing now. And now he's got Hammer of the Witches, so this thing is pretty nasty. 322 missile damage, armor piercing, they got magical attack. And so I gotta be careful with Kugath. He has a ton of health, but my opponent has a ton of shooting. And he also has Markus, whose damage is definitely not to be underestimated either. He's got Amber Bow, one more shot from the Amber Bow, 2 more focus shots. I guess they're all pretty, both of those are pretty good against a single target. Pretty sure. Yeah, they're meant to be used against single targets. No pressure on 0.3 here. You see a lot of Spearmen fleeing off the field. And now I got the Plague Bears running this way as well because I really want to just make him uncomfortable with what he's got on the field. And this beat up squad of Plague Bears is now going to go over to 0.1. Now, normally I would have hunkered down on points 3 and 2, but because of the lack of infantry on the field from my opponent and melee cavalry, now I am basically feeling comfortable to just pressure the backline, keep pushing him back into his reinforcement area, and take advantage of the value lead that we have. So Kugath is just doing his thing, shooting at Outriders. Again, mostly just using him for an artillery piece to shoot into the Outriders, Pistoliers, and Knights and whatnot. You can see Demigryph Knights with halberds coming on, and these guys are going to be tough for me to deal with. 125 armor on these guys. Decent combat stats. I actually thought they would have had higher melee attack and melee defense, but these guys are just, they're brutal units, especially against large targets. So the unfortunate thing is that I brought on Plague Drones of Nurgle, who are pretty expensive. They cost 1,100, and my thought was that these guys are going to be my response to heavy cavalry. I forgot about the Demigryph Knights with halberds, and just Demigryph Knight units in general, and how powerful those guys are. So the good thing is the Plague Drones have armor piercing, pretty good weapon strength. The bad thing is that these guys also have good combat stats, and they got pretty amazing leadership. 75. These guys have more. I wonder why they're getting buffed up. I guess from the charge. Okay, so anyways, rocket battery shooting back into my infantry. He's shooting my Chaos Warriors, which is definitely what you want to do with the Hellstorm rocket. Looks like he was able to clear off the Furies I had on them. I'm not sure if that was the Empire Knights or what did that, but yeah, I think it was the Empire Knights. I did end up pulling the Empire Knights with these dogs towards the Plague Drones, and now we're going to try to collapse on them with the Plague Drones and the Warhounds. This is not going to be a winning fight for me, at least I don't believe it was, but it's like a decent situation. The Warhounds are going to soak up a couple attacks from the Demogryph Knights and just help these guys out. And it pulled them away from the Hellstorm rocket battery. Even though it didn't have too much more ammunition, 5 waves of shots from those guys is pretty valuable. So Markus is pretty beat down. I got off of Rancid Visitations on him during this blob fight here, overcasted, and that was my main objective with the Rancid Visitations. I brought Rancid Visitations, and I also brought Blight Boil. So my idea was use Blight Boil for the infantry blobs if they happen, and use Rancid Visitations for his lord and any heroes that he might bring. So luckily Markus does not have a big health pool, so it became pretty effective against him. And getting pretty far ahead in the value right now. Still just bringing on Furies and Warhounds. That's really the name of the game right now. Until he starts bringing on more infantry, that is what is going on. And I'm curious to see what he has in his reinforcements once this match is over, because once his spear line went down and they were fleeing off the field, if he didn't have a lot of infantry in his back pocket, that meant, as I say, that there's great swords on the way. But that meant that he had to wait for them to either flee off the field or get brought in as reinforcements to get his infantry presence back and his frontline presence. So again, I've been saying this over and over throughout the match. The Furies, the Warhounds, the Plague Drones, all of them having pace is punishing the ranged units. And if you can't tell by now, this match is over. We're doing pretty good in the value trading, especially since we've got healing. And we've got a triple cap, and I'm just going to fast forward to the end because this is over. He's got a wave of infantry coming at the end here. You see some grenade launchers coming out here, doing some decent damage to the Chaos Warriors, nothing crazy. I was trying to pull them back, and I ended up running them back this way. I brought on a Beast of Nurgle because I saw the Great Swords coming, and I figured he would be the best response I had in my force to the Great Swords. Him just making it life inconvenient for the grenade launchers was good too. And at the end, I was just about to win on victory points. I either won on victory points or he saw I was about to and he conceded. But either way, well played to my opponent. Let's take a look at the end game stats, and I'm going to take a look at his reinforcements roster. I'm going to make a point to do that. So Kugath, 2,500 damage. Pretty decent. I brought him somewhat bare bones. I think I only brought him with Arcane Conduit, which gives you the Winds of Magic regen, along with the whatever the passive is that gives healing to his allies. I forget if it's map wide or what, and I think it's only when you're casting, so I didn't get to pop that many times because I only used Blight Boil once, and I think Rancid Visitations 2 or 3 times. But either way, one squad of Chaos Warriors did nothing the whole fight because they were just sitting down on point 3. Other guys did not do great, actually. They actually didn't get many points. I guess this was a squad that ended up chasing after the Pistoliers and getting blasted down. Plague Bears did okay. Nurglings did okay. Plague Drones actually did pretty good. They got chased off the field, but they almost got their value. And them being what I sent against the Demogryph Knights with halberds, they still made out pretty well. Beast didn't get much done. Well, he didn't get anything done other than chasing those guys around. And all the rest of the value went into the Warhounds and the Furies. So these guys, even though they didn't get crazy value, given how many times I summoned them, they kept the shooting away from the rest of my capture weight, and that's what I needed them to do. Markus Wulfhart, not too much value. Amber Wizard, not too much value. Hellstorm Rocket Battery, 1,400. I don't know how much this thing costs, so I can't say if that's good or not. Silver Bolt's not great. Outriders with grenade launchers did decent, but I would imagine he spent more money than this bring them on after they were chased off. Huntsman, nothing special. Warrior Priest, nothing special. I did cast a Rancid Visitations on him to get him off of point 2 at some point. Pistoliers, okay. Again, I think that might have been a resummon. Demogryph Knights with halberds, they probably paid for themselves. I can't imagine they're more than that. If they're more than that, it's not much more, I wouldn't imagine. Great Swords did okay. Halberds came on at the end. Sterling's Revenge did okay. I think these guys got chewed up by Furies at some point. Empire Knights did okay. Hammer of the Witches, decent. I don't know how much these guys cost. Another squad of Pistoliers did decent. So Yeah, my main thing that I was thinking at the end of this match was if this guy brought on more of his infantry earlier and protecting his shooting units, he might have beat me. I want to say he probably would have beat me. I'm not sure, but I felt like I had pretty free roam on the backfield, and that was feeling good throughout basically the whole match. In the beginning, I was nervous because of the grenade launchers and the pistoliers and the artillery and whatever, and I was thinking that my infantry were basically just going to get blown away, but just spamming those backline divers. So either way, well played to my opponent. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next one.